We want to talk about electrifying the industry. This is, I think, one of the most important topics at the moment, how to electrify the industry. My name is Stefan Fester. I'm the SAP Global Battery Practice Lead, and I have with me Hannes Schreier. Hannes.
Yes.
Welcome to the stage.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation, Stefan. Yeah? And I think from the audience, this topic is way too important, and I hope it fills up a little bit. Yes, I am head of IT at Cellforce. Cellforce is a daughter from Porsche, and I'm within the industry since 3 years. And I've been working 6 years prior to that for Porsche. So Porsche, the car manufacturer, and been before that 10 years within consulting. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So a lot of competence. It is. Sorry, a call coming in. I think we are all in agreement that we are facing global warming and we have a serious issue with our climate. And one of the reasons is the carbon emission. But the industry relies on energy and electricity. And there's one way to overcome this issue by using renewable energies. But if we go with renewable energies, we don't have a constant delivery of this kind of electricity. And therefore we need batteries. What we see today is the highest demand for batteries is in the vehicle industry, in the car industry. And what we see is there's a huge growth. There's a forecast that we will have a demand of 2,500 gigawatt hours by 2030. To give you a better feeling for the number, a classical gigafactory, this is a factory that produces battery cells, has a capacity of around 40 gigawatt hours. And this means 40 gigawatt hours equals 500,000 cars. But the demand is 2,500 gigawatt hours, so it's enormous. So at the end, we need more than 65, 70 or even more gigafactories on the planet. If we calculate the current amount of existing gigafactories, I think we are around 20, maybe 25. So there's a long way to go. And the current capital market is 1 billion, but by 2023 we see a capital market of $184 billion. So this is enormous. What we see today is that the majority of the companies are located in China. But not only the companies, also the raw material comes a lot out of China. And even more important, if you build a gigafactory to produce cells, 95% of the machines also come from China. That means we have a very high dependency on China. So, Hannes, what is your view on the European battery cell market? How do you see this market? What is your view?
I see a huge impact which is happening currently. We see a lot of initiatives growing in the market, and this market is a multi-billion euro market. Yeah? And what we see is huge battery manufacturers at scale, meaning 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 gigawatt manufacturing sites being installed right now, but we also see smaller players in the market who are specializing on special appliances, applications within the battery cell market. And on the other side, you have a very strong development within the battery cell development itself. So that's also our challenge in Europe, especially, that we get the right people and the people who know stuff about battery cells. Chemists, for example, engineers for the machinery, to attract them to Europe and to build up our own capacity here.
Yeah, absolutely. So there will be a lot of innovation in chemistry and factors and size of batteries for sure. So as you said, what we see on the market, there are some startups, and you are actually a startup. That's the reason why you are here, right? You are a startup, even if you are a daughter company from Porsche, but still a startup. And we see some subsidiaries coming to Europe from the well-established ones from China. And if you look to Europe, there is actually, I would say, one big player in Volkswagen. So Volkswagen decided to set up a startup. It's also a startup. The main difference to other startups is it's funded with 20 billion euros. So this is the biggest single investment of Volkswagen to set up a network of gigafactories around the globe. So And Cellforce is also a Porsche investment, so also Volkswagen. So could you give us a better overview? What is Cellforce all about?
So what is Cellforce doing? It's a quite an unknown brand because we are there only for 2 years now on the market. We were founded as a joint venture between Porsche and Custom Cells, a local battery cell developer in Germany. And we are actually seated in Germany, near Stuttgart area, next to Porsche. And what we do is we specialize in the development and mass serial production of high premium battery cells for high performance cars. So that's our goal and our mission also, and that's the role the Cellforce plays within VW. You want Porsche to be enabled in the future, not also to be distinguished by the cell and by the performance. And this is only to be achieved when you have a high performance battery cell manufacturer in the background.
Yeah, I think this brings me to the point that the classical, I would say, relationship between the car manufacturer and the tier 1, tier 2 supplier is that the power is with the car manufacturer, 100%. But with batteries, it changed now. So some of the big OEMs, they still have the strategy to just focus on R&D, cell chemistry and stuff, but not mass production. And the second thing is to have the battery management system under control, how to charge, discharge, and manage the battery. This is key for one of the OEMs. But we see a trend in the market that the power between the OEM and the tier 1 supplier is not the same like in the past. So the tier 1 supplier, even the cell manufacturers, are more powerful than ever. So, and as you said, why is it so important to have the own cells for a premium car like Porsche?
Yeah. You heavily rely currently on battery cells from China, North Korea, and that's a huge risk for Europe, and that's also my motivation or the motivation of our company to reduce that risk in the supply chain. And I think it's very important for Europe that we catch up on battery cells because we do the engine currently. We're the best in doing engine. That's what I say. But the engine will be different. The power source will be different. So we need to be leader also to be able to control the value chain within the automotive industry. We need to be the leader also in the battery cell. And the value of a battery cell within a car is very high. Up to 30-40% of the overall cost of a car is a battery cell. So it's very important for Europeans to be more independent from Asia, to be able to fulfill their commitment within the battery chain at the end.
And you're talking about the battery chain. So it's a complete ecosystem, right? So it starts in the mining, the raw material, first chemistry, raw material, battery cell, battery assembly, then the charging, then the recycling. So it's a huge ecosystem. Yeah. So what are your main partners in this ecosystem?
So back in history, we started with very few people. Now we are around 200, just to give you an idea of how many people are working for Cellforce. And you cannot build the best cell, which is basically our slogan, just alone. So we rely on a huge network of partners within universities, within the industry. To name a few, like BASF, the chemical company, is, for example, providing active materials for our battery cell production, but is also partnering within recycling. So one main aspect of becoming a global player for battery cells is a green mindset and, of course, sustainability within the company's DNA. I think you won't find any battery cells producer out there who's not claiming that, But you need strong partners for that, and we find these partners in the industries, and we are also closely working together with European machine suppliers to be able to step by step drift more apart from our reliance on Asia at this point.
Yeah. And I think one important thing, if we talk about batteries, is data and exchange of data. So the European Commission puts a lot of pressure to the whole ecosystem to make sure that it is a circular economy. So it is clear that there will be some regulations coming saying that the recycling rate must be up to 60-90% in the next decade. And for that, we have alliances like the Global Battery Alliance and others, and they use a battery passport to to document and to track all the data from the mining over the usage. So what is your take on battery passport? What are you doing there?
Yeah, first of all, it's a huge challenge, yeah. Not only to be able to manage all that data as an OEM, which we, as a supplier of battery cells, we're just a part in that ecosystem, right? So, but also for us, our responsibility is to keep track of everything coming into the battery cell at the end, and this in a data point of view. Our goal is at the end, when we produce a cell, battery cell is like a pouch cell, is like this big, that we want to know exactly where it comes from, which suppliers are in there, which materials are in there, what's our carbon footprint for this battery cell. And you can imagine it's very hard to fulfill these requirements. You can have the best IT infrastructure in the world, but you're still reliant on all your suppliers out there, and these suppliers are international, and they're from Asia, from South America, from the US. So it's not only you changing, it's the whole network that needs to change with that. And these requirements are very hard to meet, but I think we are in a good way. We saw some great presentations also from BMW, who are showcasing their battery passport for the first time. And we also have, as Cellforce, a little advantage here. We have a greenfield environment looking at the IT side, meaning we can set up the solutions as we want, so future-proof, and we don't have to look back too much, no legacy systems, etc. That's very important when it comes to the aspect of data sharing.
Yeah, very good. While you're talking about IT, what I'm saying when I'm talking to other customers, they have all one thing in common. They don't have time. They simply don't have time, and they must scale up in no time. And you said your advantage is that you have a greenfield environment. So what is the strategy to grow the IT while your business is growing?
Yeah, so normally when you're a spin-off of a bigger enterprise, yes, you want to make a decision at the very start, build up your own IT infrastructure or rely on process-proven and very strong processes from your mother, yeah, and we made the choice back in the days to start on a greenfield, and that it slows us down to be reliant on such a big corporation like Porsche, like Volkswagen, etc. So that's our greenfield approach, and the choice was 2 years later, right? We need the pace, we need no huge processes around implementing stuff. Yeah, our people expect fast solutions, quick solutions. Our customers expect the same, and our market and partners also need to do that. So that's the reason why we chose that, to be able to be more free. Also, I mean the plan for Cellforce can go anywhere, right? So so we start with Porsche, of course. Porsche is our mother, and we are owned by Porsche. But we need to stay flexible for the futures, because battery can be applied not only in cars. We of course, you have bikes, you have tools, whatever. There's very much demand on the market, not only in cars, which is of course the highest volume, but the other stuff is quite some fun too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. You were talking about flexibility, and the big, I would say all the big factories, gigafactories are relying on SAP and SAP software. But we are also famous for the complexity. We support huge systems. Why did you choose, and what kind of SAP did you choose to use?
Yeah, so we made a quite early business decision to introduce SAP as a SaaS solution. So the background is we have a heavy cloud strategy. So basically, we do not want to build up anything on-prem. We don't have the resources and the time for it, and not the skills also. And also, that's not our future. When it comes to building a plant, which we are currently doing, so we are building this plant, which will be ready by 2024. We will have some stuff on the edge, yeah, but that's all. SAP offered us a product which grows together with us. Let's put it like that. Yeah. So SaaS solutions, standardized processes, which is very important in a heavily regulated market on the one hand, and also fits our IT strategy. Yeah. So that's one of the reasons we choose SAP. At the end, it's all about your employees. Which enterprise solution do they know? Which do they know from their previous work? I think that's also a point to consider. You cannot force a solution which no one knows or wants on people. But at the end, we choose the product Rise or Grow, how it's called now, because it scales up with the processes. You can start small, and at the end, you can develop it in a product-centric approach. Not completely free in a standard matter, but adapting to your needs.
I think standard is also a very important topic, because standard force you to take a decision as early as possible, because why should you have different process for finance, controlling, procurement, whatever? It's more or less standard. You should focus on other topics that differentiates you, right?
Yes.
And this is important. And the second point, as you said, growth is important, and we saw some startups going with whatever kind of solution, and while they are growing, while they are successful, then they came to a point where the current landscape solution was not sufficient enough, and this is the worst moment, the worst point to switch the vendor, right? This is one of the big things, and that's the reason, as you said, why SAP invented the Grow with SAP for scale-ups, because we have the experience, but we are also able to narrow it down to that what a startup really needs, right? This is also important for us. So, Hannes, what is your conclusion when you think about the battery, the market, second life, and so on? What is your conclusion in total? So why is it worth to be engaged in this wonderful business?
I would have it as a radar, on the radar. What we see are huge investments. I think that we see a lot of companies also growing right now in Europe. At the end, we all have the same problem. We need to be profitable on the long term. And being profitable in such a industry, capex, heavy market, it's quite a challenge, and will be a challenge for a lot of these players that you mentioned within Europe, but also within Asia. And I think the conclusion is you need very lean and quick developing processes within your organization. You will grow, we grow faster than we want sometimes, but we are growing heavily. But you need to be able to react to change, and to be able to gain the competitive edge as Salesforce, we need to have the best battery on the market. So the market catches up quite fast, and then we have 2-3 years to be able to release a new product line to the market, to be able to outperform the market and put our battery cell in a Porsche. And that's my conclusion. Be fast in the market, adapt.
And where do you see Salesforce in, let's say, 5 years? It's far away, but what do you think?
It's hard, because we already 13 times tripled our size when I started, from the business case, not from the people, but from what we wanted to do. I see it as one of the premium automotive suppliers in the world.
Yeah, very good. And I think one important thing to mention is whoever invests into the battery business or is active in the battery business, the cars is only one use case. And we are talking about circularity. That means there are more use cases for a second life. So once the usage, the lifetime of a car is over, then the batteries will be taken for store energy, the energy storage system, and so on and so on. So there is a lot coming. So thank you, Hannes, for your insights.
Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.